Aziza is a 4-year-old Pakistani girl, and this drop will save her from crippling polio. It's just one of billions of drops UNICEF and its partners have provided over the past 26 years. Because of drops like these, a generation of children has grown up without the fear of polio. Worldwide cases have dropped by over 99%. Over 11 million childhood disabilities and deaths have been prevented. And we're on track to completely eradicate polio within the next few years. But we're not there yet. UNICEF's mission is to protect every last child. So we won't stop until every last case of polio is prevented. Like Aziza's. Because every child deserves to live in a polio-free world.
Our topic is, can polio be globally eradicated? Polio can be eradicated by achievement and maintenance of high immunization levels by using OPV, effective surveillance and accurate diagnosis of all cases of acute flaccid paralysis among individuals under 15, and area-wide vaccination around all new cases.
What is polio? Polio, otherwise known as poliomyelitis, is a highly infectious virus that can cause paralysis, difficulty breathing, and sometimes even death. Humans are the only natural host for polioviruses. Transmission of the virus occurs by direct person-to-person contact and indirect contact with infectious saliva, feces, or contaminated sewage or water. The virus then can enter by way of the gastrointestinal tract and replicates locally. Virus is excreted in the feces of an infected individual for several weeks to several months. Most infections are asymptomatic or result in febrile illness with transient diarrhea. About 0.5% of infections result in paralytic disease.
Polio is broken down into 3 different types of infections: subclinical polio, non-paralytic polio, and paralytic polio infections. The 3 different types of strains of polio should not be confused with the 3 types of infections. The 3 types of infections describe mainly where the virus is located in the body. Subclinical goes through the digestive tract with little to no symptoms. It goes away within a few weeks without any permanent damage to the brain or spinal cord. Non-paralytic polio again goes through the digestive tract with flu-like symptoms that usually last for 10 days. While paralytic polio is when the virus enters the central nervous system and replicates in the motor neurons of the spinal cord. Initial symptoms act like non-paralytic polio: loss of reflexes, severe muscle ache and weakness, floppy and loose limbs, often worse on one side of the body. Those who do result in paralytic disease occurs when the virus enters the central nervous system and replicates in the motor neurons of the spinal cord. When it multiplies in the nervous system, the virus can destroy nerve cells, which activate skeletal muscles. The affected muscles then lose their function due to lack of nervous innervation. Nervous innervation is the communication between a bundle of small nerves in the brain, a condition known as acute flaccid paralysis. In the most severe cases, poliovirus attacks the motor neurons of the brain stem, reducing breathing capacity and causing difficulty in swallowing and speaking. Without respiratory support, polio can result in death. Polio can strike at any age, but affects mainly children under 3. It is crucial that polio vaccination starts at such a young age to prevent any permanent damage being done to the child. After surviving the infections, horrible side effects can still occur called post-polio syndrome.
The idea of polio eradication has been around for quite a long time. Starting in 1988, Global Polio Eradication Initiative was the largest international efforts to eradicating polio in every country.
The idea of polio eradication has been around for quite a long time. Starting in 1988, Global Polio Eradication Initiative was the largest international effort to eradicating polio in every country. The annual expenditure of the U.S. to fund this project was $700 million and deployed over 3,500 polio-funded staff in 75 countries to eradicate polio from the world. From the pictures, you can see that the progress of the 1988 Global Polio Eradication Initiative made over the years went from over hundreds down to only a few cases in only 4 countries. The World Health Assembly voted to pursue global polio eradication in 1988. The last case that was last found in the Americas was in Peru, August 1991. The last case that was in the Western Pacific was in Cambodia, March 1997. The last case that was in the European region was found in southern eastern Turkey, November 1988. The last case that was found in Indonesia in 1995 and in Bangladesh in 2000. It was restricted to only 2 of 30 states in India in 2000. In Africa, it was restricted to northern Nigeria and southern Niger by the end of 2002. By 2002, in the eastern Mediterranean, it was restricted to Pakistan, Afghanistan, and Egypt. WHO, Rotary International, CDC, and UNICEF all together made tremendous progress. By 2002, one of the 3 poliovirus stereotypes, type 2, had been eradicated globally. The last case in India was in late 1999. We have cooperation with corporations such as the United Nations Children's Fund, UNICEF, the World Health Organization, Rotary International, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention to thank for the progress we have already made in eradicating polio from the world.
So in solving the problem of polio, our plan of action consists of 3 steps that have been used in the 1988 Global Polio Eradication Initiative that eradicated polio from the United States. Our plan is administering OPV or oral polio vaccine to everyone if possible. Following the procedure of giving the vaccine to children at the age of 2 months, 4 months, then between is a vaccine containing the live strains of all 3 types of polio, making it the most effective when trying to vaccinate all 3 types. The only downside to this is that the vaccine must be given multiple times to build up immunity to all 3 polio viruses. Next, effective surveillance and accurate diagnosis of all cases of acute flaccid paralysis among individuals under 15 to understand where the virus is currently located and map the movement of the virus to understand where treatment is most needed, thus developing the most efficient process in eliminating the virus globally. Lastly, area-wise vaccination around all new cases must be done in order to prevent the spread of the virus. Other strategies for eradication are door-to-door vaccination in areas where the polio virus is evident.
As of January 2006, only 4 countries have wild polio: Nigeria, India, Pakistan, and Afghanistan. By March of 2014, polio was eradicated from India, a population of 1.2 billion, leaving 3 countries infected.
It's an important day for the people of Ho Wang, a remote village in the northern Shan state of Myanmar. The very first day of a series of immunization activities has created some excitement in the community. In an effort to combat the spread of acute viral infectious diseases, UNICEF, the World Health Organization, and the Ministry of Health are supporting the National Immunization Days campaign. Many parents, at first misinformed about their child's health, are now, thanks to health workers and community leaders counseling, eager to protect their young children from diseases such as polio.
Our village leader asked us to come. He said that after immunization, my child would not suffer from polio and he would be healthy.
During immunization drives, a number of health teams are deployed throughout Myanmar and especially in remote areas where convenient access to healthcare is most needed.
In conclusion, eradicating the world of polio creates one less problem for the lives of thousands. This relieves the burden of possible polio infection from drinking contaminated water. It takes just a couple of drops of the vaccine, which is administered to the child, saving the child from a life chained to crutches.